Man, some games aren't made to sell millions. They're made to leave a mark on the people who play them. The problem? Many of them flopped, even though they were true works of art. Today, I've picked 15 incredible games the world ignored, but that deserved so much more. And fair warning, some of these still hurt to this day.
Going to check it out.
Immortals of Aveum. When Immortals of Aveum launched in 2023, it was supposed to be the start of a new magic shooter revolution, but instead it became a tragic example of a masterpiece buried by terrible timing and high system requirements. Developed by Ascendant Studios, a team of industry veterans, this game humbles the modern AAA landscape by offering a completely original fantasy world without the baggage of an existing franchise. Technically, it was one of the first major titles to fully utilize Unreal Engine 5.1, featuring nanite and lumen technology that created lighting and environmental details so dense it looked like a high-budget film. The combat is where the genius lies. It isn't just Call of Duty with magic. It's a rhythmic, fast-paced dance of colored spells, where you have to constantly switch between blue, red, and green magic to break enemy shields and exploit weaknesses. It flopped because it released in the shadow of giants like Baldur's Gate 3 and Starfield, but its world building, its visceral combat feedback, and its sheer graphical ambition make it a work of art that deserved a massive audience. It's a polished, single-player epic that reminds us how risky and how beautiful originality can be. Spec Ops: The Line is arguably the most important flop in the history of the military shooter genre. On the surface, it looked like a generic Gears of War clone set in Dubai, which is exactly why the mainstream audience ignored it. But those who played it found a narrative masterpiece that deconstructs the very idea of a war hero. What humbles modern shooters here is the visual and psychological evolution. As the story progresses, the protagonist, Captain Martin Walker, physically decays. His uniform tears, his skin burns, and his executions become more brutal. The technical use of sand as a dynamic hazard was years ahead of its time. You could shoot out glass to bury enemies under tons of sand, a mechanic that still feels fresh in 2026. It flopped because the marketing failed to show its true soul, but its haunting exploration of PTSD and war crimes remains a landmark in gaming history. It's a game that stares you in the face and asks why you enjoy digital violence, and that bravery makes it a masterpiece that should have been a blockbuster. Days Gone still hurts to talk about Days Gone in the context of a flop because it is one of the most misunderstood masterpieces of the last decade. At launch, it suffered from technical bugs and a slow burn opening that caused critics to dismiss it, leading to sales that didn't meet Sony's massive expectations. However, once the technical issues were patched, what remained was an incredible survival horror epic. What humbles the competition is the Horde technology. Seeing 500 freakers rendered with individual AI flowing over obstacles like a liquid wave of death is a technical feat that many 2026 games still haven't managed to replicate. The relationship between Deacon and his motorcycle is the heart of the game. It's a physical, tactile bond where you have to manually manage every drop of fuel and every engine repair. The story of a man searching for his wife in the ruins of the Pacific Northwest is grounded and emotionally raw. It deserved a sequel, but instead it stands as a standalone masterpiece that proves that first impressions aren't everything in an industry that demands perfection on day one. Alpha Protocol. If you want to talk about a game that was too smart for its own good, look no further than Alpha Protocol. Developed by Obsidian Entertainment, this espionage RPG humbles modern choice-based games by offering a level of branching narrative that is frankly staggering. Every decision you make, from the order in which you complete missions to the way you speak to NPCs, has a massive ripple effect on the world. What makes it a masterpiece is the dialogue system, which gives you limited time to respond, forcing you to think like a real spy. You can play as a professional like Jason Bourne, a suave agent like James Bond, or a loose cannon like Jack Bauer, and the game's AI and ending will shift completely to match your style. It flopped because it was technically unpolished at launch and didn't fit into the action shooter mold people expected in 2010. However, beneath the rough edges is a technical marvel of narrative design that puts the illusion of choice in modern AAA games to shame. It is a brilliant, reactive, and deeply replayable spy thriller that was tragically ahead of its time.
Prince of Persia, 2008. When Ubisoft decided to reboot the Prince of Persia franchise in 2008, they didn't just make a new game, they created a playable poem. This title humbles almost every modern open world through its masterful art direction. Instead of chasing the photorealism that fades with time, Ubisoft used a stunning, illustrative, cel-shaded watercolor style that looks as breathtaking in 2026 as it did nearly 2 decades ago. Technically, the game was a pioneer of the partner AI system. Elika isn't just a companion, she is an integral part of the parkour and combat, ensuring that the flow of movement never stops, even if you miss a jump. This was a bold move that prioritized flow over punishment, a concept that many modern games still struggle to get right. It flopped because hardcore fans of the Sands of Time trilogy were upset by its unlosable gameplay and the lighter tone, but they missed the point. It was a masterpiece of world purification and rhythmic platforming. The way the world physically heals and blooms with color as you cleanse the corruption is a visual reward that few games have ever matched. It is a peaceful, beautiful, and technically flawless experience that was tragically rejected for being too different. Remember Me before they became famous for Life is Strange? Dontnod Entertainment gave us Remember Me, a cyberpunk masterpiece that was years ahead of its time. Set in Neo-Paris in the year 2084, the game humbles modern sci-fi titles through its conceptual depth and memory remixing. The technical hook here is the ability to enter someone's mind and remix their memories, changing small details in a digital flashback to alter their personality in the present. This was a narrative and technical innovation that many modern RPGs still haven't managed to replicate with such polish. The art direction is legendary. The way it blends classic Parisian architecture with high-tech surveillance and neon is visually unparalleled. The combat also featured a combo lab that allowed you to physically build your own attack strings with different healing or damage properties. It flopped because it was released during a crowded summer window and was criticized for its linear structure, but the industry ignored the fact that it was one of the most original and atmospheric worlds ever built. It is a stunning, thoughtful, and technically brave game that explored the dangers of digital privacy long before it became a daily reality for us all. Vanquish. Vanquish is a 60 frame per second fireworks show that makes modern AAA shooters look like they're running through molasses. Developed by Shinji Mikami and Platinum Games, this 2010 title humbles the entire genre through its kinetic technical mastery. While games like Gears of War made cover shooters slow and heavy, Vanquish introduced the augmented reality suit, allowing you to rocket boost slide across the battlefield at terminal velocity while the world around you explodes in slow motion. The technical wizardry required to keep that level of visual chaos stable and readable is a testament to Platinum's engineering prowess. Every piece of the environment, massive space colonies and transforming mechs, is rendered with a level of mechanical detail that is staggering.
It flopped because it was a short, purely skill-based experience in an era where gamers were obsessed with hours of content and multiplayer modes. However, in terms of raw action design, it is a flawless masterpiece. It demands your full attention and rewards you with a level of adrenaline that modern, safe shooters are too afraid to even attempt. It is the ultimate expression of the action in action game. The Last Guardian. After nearly a decade in development hell, The Last Guardian finally released in 2016, and it delivered something that no AAA budget can buy: a soul. This game humbles the modern industry by focusing entirely on the technical realism of an emotional bond. Trico, the massive bird-cat-mammal hybrid, is arguably the most advanced AI companion ever programmed. He doesn't just follow a script, he has moods, he gets distracted, he feels fear, and he has to learn to trust the player. The physics of his feathers, the way his weight shifts as he jumps, and the incredible skeletal animation make him feel like a living, breathing creature rather than a bunch of code. It flopped because the long development led to outdated controls and camera issues that many critics couldn't look past. But those who stayed found a narrative masterpiece about companionship and sacrifice that is deeply moving. It is a game that values feeling over winning, creating a bond between the player and Trico that is so real it becomes painful. It is a triumph of artistic vision over technical hurdles, a rare example of a game that dares to be slow, quiet, and profoundly human in an industry of noise. Prey. Prey is a masterclass in systemic, immersive simulation that makes most modern AAA shooters look like shallow toys. Developed by Arcane Austin, this game humbles the industry through its unmatched player agency and physical reactivity. In the world of Talos 1, every object you see is a physical entity that can be manipulated. The technical highlight is the glue cannon, a weapon that allows you to create your own platforms, freeze enemies, or block hazardous fires, a level of creative freedom that most modern developers are too afraid to give the player because it breaks the game. Here, the developers invite you to break it. The mimics, enemies that can physically transform into any physics-based object in a room, create a level of tension and visual paranoia that scripted jump scares could never achieve. It flopped because of a confusing marketing campaign and a title that had nothing to do with the original Prey from 2006, leading to a massive identity crisis at launch. But beneath the marketing failure is a dense, terrifyingly smart, and technically flawless sci-fi masterpiece. It is a game that treats the player like a genius, offering a playground of physics and morality that is as beautiful as it is cold. The Order 1886 is the one game that was too beautiful for its own good. It is The Order 1886. Released in 2015, this title humbles even modern 2026 releases through its cinematic technical fidelity. Ready at Dawn pushed the PlayStation 4 to its absolute breaking point, utilizing a filmic rendering style that included high-quality lens flares, motion blur, and a level of material detail that made brass, cloth, and skin look indistinguishable from reality. The technical work on the soft body physics, where objects deform realistically under pressure, was a decade ahead of its time. It flopped because it was heavily criticized for its short length and its reliance on quick time events, with many dismissing it as a movie you can play. However, ignoring the gameplay versus cinema debate, it remains an artistic masterpiece of world-building and Victorian steampunk atmosphere. The technical polish in every frame is a testament to what happens when a studio refuses to compromise on its visual soul. It is a breathtakingly gorgeous tragedy that showed us the future of graphics, only to be rejected because it didn't provide enough hours of entertainment. Psychonauts, Team Schafer's Psychonauts, is a masterclass in visual creativity and narrative architecture that was tragically ignored by the mass market in 2005. This game humbles modern platformers by proving that level design should be an extension of character psychology. Every stage takes place inside the mind of a different character, and the technical execution of these mental landscapes is staggering. From a world where a paranoid guard sees a suburban neighborhood as a twisted conspiracy, to a velvet-painted world based on a wrestler's ego, the art style shifts constantly to match the mental state of the level. It was a technical and creative gamble that the industry wasn't ready for. It flopped because its quirky, non-traditional art style didn't fit into the gritty or mascot-heavy trends of the mid-2000s, leading to poor sales that nearly bankrupted Double Fine. But those who played it found it deeply funny, emotionally mature, and endlessly inventive masterpiece. It is a game that values imagination above all else, proving that the most interesting open worlds aren't found on a map, but inside the human mind. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Ninja Theory took a massive risk with Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, creating what they called an independent AAA game, and the result was a masterpiece of psychological and technical immersion. What humbles modern big-budget titles here is the binaural audio and emotional fidelity. Instead of using a traditional HUD, the game relies on the voices in Senua's head to guide or mislead the player, requiring you to play with headphones to experience the full technical depth of her psychosis. The motion capture for Senua, played by Melina Juergens, captured a level of raw, visceral pain and vulnerability that makes the stiff animations of many $100 million AAA games look amateur. It flopped in the sense that it didn't have the marketing reach or the broad appeal of a traditional action game, initially staying in a niche AA space before being acquired by Microsoft. It is a game that doesn't care about fun in the traditional sense. It cares about impact. It is a haunting, beautiful, and technically daring exploration of trauma that proves that games can handle the most difficult human experiences with more grace than any other medium. Titanfall 2. If there is a holy grail of first-person shooters that was tragically sent to die, it is Titanfall 2. Released in 2016 between the massive launches of Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty, it became the ultimate victim of a corporate scheduling suicide. This game humbles every modern live service shooter through its kinetic technical perfection and creative level design. While modern shooters feel slow and heavy, Titanfall 2 offers a pilot movement system, wall running, double jumping, and sliding that feels like it was calibrated by gods. But the real masterpiece is the campaign. Each level introduces a world-class mechanic that other games would build an entire franchise around, like the Effect and Cause mission, where you shift between two time periods instantly without a single loading screen, and then discards it for something even better in the next chapter. The relationship between the pilot, Jack Cooper, and the Titan, BT-7274, provides more emotional weight than most $200 million military dramas. It flopped in sales, but remains a technical legend, proving that when you prioritize gameplay flow and player joy over microtransactions, you create a timeless masterpiece that the world was simply too busy to notice.
This ratchet device seems to be usable.
Call of Cthulhu is a game that was unfairly dismissed as a AA title with rough edges, but for those who understand horror, it is a technical masterclass in atmospheric dread and sanity mechanics.
Developed by Cyanide Studio, this game humbles modern jump-scare horror by focusing on cosmic insignificance. The technical achievement here is the sanity system, where the player's vision and the environment physically distort based on the trauma and forbidden knowledge the protagonist gains. It isn't just a filter. The level design shifts and becomes more eldritch as you lose your grip on reality. The art direction uses a sickly green and murky gray palette that makes the island of Darkwater feel wet, cold, and ancient. It flopped because it lacked the polish and combat-heavy focus of mainstream titles, leading many critics to ignore its deep RPG roots and its incredible narrative branching. However, it remains one of the most faithful adaptations of Lovecraftian horror ever made. It is a masterpiece of atmosphere over action, proving that true fear isn't about what jumps out at you, but about the slow, technical realization that you are completely powerless against the unknown.
I hope it's not toxic.
NieR Replicant. To close out this list, we have NieR Replicant, a game that is a technical and narrative glitch in the Matrix that the world ignored twice. Originally released in 2010 to poor reviews and even worse sales, it returned as a remastered masterpiece that humbles the industry through its philosophical bravery and genre-defying structure. What makes this a masterpiece is how it uses the medium of video games to tell a story that literally cannot exist in a movie or a book. It requires you to play the game multiple times, with each loop adding a layer of technical perspective, changing the camera angles, the music, and even the dialogue to show the humanity of the monsters you spent the first run killing. The technical work on the soundtrack, composed by Keiichi Okabe, is arguably the greatest in the history of the medium, using a made-up language to create a sense of ancient, lost culture. It flopped and struggled in its return because its repetitive structure and melancholic tone don't fit the instant gratification mold of modern gaming. It is a haunting, beautiful tragedy that demands your time and then shatters your heart, proving that games can be the most profound form of art when they dare to be weird, repetitive, and painfully human. The tragedy of the gaming industry is that quality and sales are not always on the same team. We've seen today that some of the most technically innovative, narratively brave, and artistically significant games of the last 2 decades were left behind in the bargain bin while generic, committee-designed blockbusters took the spotlight. So, which of these masterpieces did you miss? And which one are you gonna help unflop by playing it tonight? Let's get a discussion going in the comments about the games the world was too blind to see.